All right, so what I want to talk to you guys today is about managing a monthly cash flow or a budget, but doing it in a unique way that's not super work intensive. If you run a budget, you know that you have to look at it every week, every month, blah, 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 and it takes a lot of work to keep it up and make sure you're on track for everything. What I've developed is a little bit of different way that is not so work intensive and compartmentalizes everything. Um, and if you don't have a budget, it's really hard to look in your bank account after getting a check and have a couple $1,000s in there and knowing where that money needs to go, what bills have to be paid, how much money you have to spend to live your life and have fun. So let's jump in and look at this. All right, so the first thing you got to do before we jump into this is you do have to have some sort of worked out budget. You don't have to manage this monthly and make sure you're keeping on track with everything, but you do need to know how much money you have to work with on a monthly basis. You got money coming in and you got money going out, and you need to know how much cash flow you have outside of your normal expenses. And when you're doing those normal expenses, you need to make sure that you do it at the highest level, because you want to make sure you over budget rather than under budget. So, our electricity, our gas, our food bills, those kinds of things, those can vary month to month, and you want to kind of budget for the most that you spend in 1 month on those things to figure out your monthly cash flows so you don't overcommit to a program. It's way better to have money left over at the end of the month rather than to have no money left over. So that's the first thing you have to do. You have to at least do it one time. You got to know how much money you're spending on things. Next, from there, this is kind of the normal flow of money into people's accounts. And then, you're going to spend money going from there just onto your bills. So all that good money gets spent, and some of it's mandatory, some of it's your spending that you choose to just to live your lifestyle and have fun, all that stuff. And then hopefully some money is going over into savings. Now, what I think is the best way to manage the cash flow is not to necessarily run a budget and figure out where money is going every single month, but understand on a general premise where money is going and then segment it out from there. So what you'll notice here is this other little circle called your spending money. This should be its own separate account that is going to have all of your money that you're going to put in there for your fun, your dates, your dinners, everything else besides what has to be paid every month. That stuff's going to come out of your bank and hopefully automatically. So that way you don't have to think about it, don't have to budget for it, and you don't really have to plan for it. It frees up mental space, and it should keep you from getting in trouble. Because that other money is going to be in its separate bank account, or what I use is Cash App, because it's really easy to log into a Cash App. It's really easy to know what money's in there. It's really easy to transfer into. And also it's a preloaded debit card, meaning you can't spend more than you have in the account. So you can't really get into trouble. If you're managing it well, it shouldn't ever happen anyway, but overspending does happen. And you're going to automate the cash flow from check into those accounts. You're going to also start saving for emergencies and other things, but this is just a simplistic version right now. And this is what you need to do. You need to automate it, and you should start segmenting out where your money is going. If you can take one step, the biggest step is to manage your fun spending, whatever you want to call it, and put it in its own separate account, because that way when you are out with your friends, grabbing drinks, you can open it up and know how much you have to spend, versus looking in your bank account, saying whatever, $2,000, $3,000 there, and wondering how much you actually have to spend today and what already is supposed to be set aside for bills. So that's usually what happens when you open up your bank account. You have just got to check how much of it do you really have to spend freely without worry. So that's what we're trying to resolve. Here's an example of the cash flow for that. So $1,000 check in your bank account, $700 set aside for bills, $200 goes to have for fun, and $1,000 goes straight into your savings accounts. Obviously, this is a low check, but it's really easy to follow the math through. So we're going to make it complicated now. This is realistically what it should and needs to look like. First, you're going to notice it says checks. So you're going to have multiple checks coming in, more than you had before, because we're financially responsible people generating different sources of income, and all of those fun things. So all those flow into your bank account, again, automated out into emergency savings and your spending money. If you really want to get fancy, you could even add on different spending accounts, like say a separate account for your food, separate account for clothing if you really want to get fancy. See if you up to you to make it as simple or as complex as you need to be to help you budget and make sure you have things in the right places without having to do a monthly budget and actually track your money and track your expenses. That's what we're trying to avoid. What we're going to add on is, a fund savings account. This is for vacation, a motorcycle, whatever you want. You can spend this money and save up for it and then just blow it whenever you want to. Doesn't matter. It helps eliminate the worrying and make sure your bills are paid. And then from there, we're going to automate some stuff into, I would recommend its own separate investment saving account. So this is money set aside to be put into investments. You may not want to automatically invest into crypto or invest into stocks. You may want to go in there and set and do those things yourself at separate times, but having that money set aside away from your general bank account is going to be a good idea. And make sure that you are setting that money monthly aside for those things. You could even have an account for just buying real estate, and you could just have money piling up inside of there. And that's what we got to do. We got to segment and compartmentalize everything. It is the easiest way for our brains to process all of this. It's much harder for us to put everything in one place, all our money in one place, and know where that money needs to go. But if it's compartmentalized, really easy to manage. You just have to manage more logins and more accounts, but it helps you make sure you follow through on your goals and make sure you spend your money in the places you want it to be spent. Because lifestyle creep is a thing, and it's really easy to spend money. It's much harder to save and build wealth and get out of debt and all those fun things. So we're going to go one step further for my commission-based or business owners and add in a separate layer. And we're going to simplify it again just for the sake of explaining it a little bit easier, and then it obviously gets more complex. This time, what we have now is a business bank account. So checks flow into your business bank account. This is commission-based or business owner. And then from there, you're going to have taxes set aside automatically. For my realtors and my 1099 people, you're talking 33% of your money needs to go straight into your tax account to pay taxes at the end of the year, because none of your money has been taxed yet. And that should happen automatically. Get a paycheck, 33%, right? If you can literally automate it with technology, do that. If you can't and you have to do it manually, every time you get a check, put it in there. And then again, automate a amount of money coming over to your personal bank account. Based on your budget, you know how much money you need per month. If you need $4,000 a month, automatically have a transfer for $4,000 come out every month into your personal bank account. And from there, you can automate it to go into your spending money and then into your emergency savings, investments, and all the other accounts we had on the last one. So that's what I want to tackle today, and we'll get into another topic next time.